The Zorith Dominion came from a star system far away. They were tall, silver-skinned, and smart. Their ships were quiet in space, shaped like long knives, smooth and sharp. They had taken many planets before. They thought Earth would be easy. Their leader, Zelve Ruin, stood on the bridge of the command ship and looked at Earth through the glass. The blue planet seemed calm. It had no space defense, no giant lasers, no big fleet of warships. To him, it looked weak. "Begin the operation," he said. Soon, the sky above Earth was full of strange ships. They hovered over cities like New York, Tokyo, and Moscow. People looked up and screamed. News spread fast. Panic began. But not everyone panicked. In Arizona, Captain Laura Briggs was leading a training drill for the National Guard. The sky changed color, and people started pointing. She got the call from command. It was real. They were under attack. Laura didn't freeze. She gave orders. Trucks were loaded. Soldiers put on gear. Radios buzzed. She remembered what her grandfather once said. "When trouble comes, don't wait. Act." In Denver, Eric Dalton was planting vegetables in his backyard. He had left the Marines years ago. He thought war was behind him. But when he saw the ships, he felt something return, something old. He went inside, opened a locked box, and pulled out his uniform. Then he made calls. Friends, old teammates, people he trusted across Earth. It was the same. People moved. People gathered. People prepared. The Zorith sent small attack groups down to the cities. They thought humans would kneel. They thought people would hide. They were wrong. In New York, police officers, firefighters, and even taxi drivers fought back. They used anything they had. Pistols, shotguns, even kitchen knives. The aliens had shields and laser rifles. But humans were fast, angry, brave. In the first week, hundreds of humans died. But hundreds of aliens died too. More than the Zorith expected. The aliens started taking prisoners. They asked the same questions. Where is your leader? Who commands your armies? The answers confused them. Humans had no one leader, no single plan. But they still fought like they were one. In Montana, a boy named Kevin used his father's hunting rifle to take down a scout drone. In Detroit, factory workers built steel traps for alien walkers. In Tokyo, people poured gasoline on the streets and lit fires to block enemy machines. In Kansas, a girl named Nora Simmons was just 16. Her father had a ham radio. She used it to listen to alien messages. She heard the static, the alien words, and slowly began to understand. She sent out messages of her own. Short, simple ones. Alien ship moving north. Weak point near the back of their armor. Use smoke. Their vision is weak in smoke. People began listening to her. They called her the ghost voice. Everywhere, humans were learning, watching, adapting. The aliens were trained for clean war, quick fights, straight lines. But Earth was messy. Cities were full of alleys, tunnels, and basements. Forests, mountains, deserts, all hiding places, all traps in Los Angeles. Sergeant Pete Morales had retired from the army 5 years ago. He lived in a small house near downtown. When the aliens came, he grabbed his old gear. He found others who were ready to fight. A former cop, a gang leader, a teacher, a bus driver. They didn't wear uniforms. They had no rules. But they took back a neighborhood. Then another. Pete spoke to his group one night. We don't have fancy weapons. But we know our streets. They don't. That's our weapon. In space, Zelva Ruin watched reports come in. He saw video of his soldiers retreating, of explosions, of human fighters screaming in rage and running into gunfire. He frowned. They are disorganized. Why do they keep winning? His second-in-command answered, they don't follow rules. They don't stop. The commander looked again at the blue planet. It now seemed different, not calm, not weak. He said, send more troops. More fire. We must break them. More ships came. More fire fell from the sky. Cities burned. But under the smoke, humans kept moving. In basements, people made maps. On rooftops, they used mirrors to signal. In the woods, people trained with sticks. Then found guns. The world was becoming one giant battlefield. In Chicago, a woman named Denise worked in a bakery. She made bread by day. By night, she smuggled messages between fighters. She walked past alien patrols with flour on her clothes and secrets in her shoes. In the Philippines, fishermen took aliens by surprise from the sea. In Nigeria, villagers used drums to warn of alien patrols. In Iceland, people used the fog to hide entire towns. The aliens didn't understand. Every time they hit one group, another rose. Every time they took a city, they lost 2 outposts in the countryside. The humans were not perfect. They made mistakes. They lost battles. But they never gave up. And they started winning. Captain Laura Briggs was sent to Colorado. She met with Eric Dalton and his team. They shared food, weapons, and stories. Eric said, they don't fear us yet, but they will. Laura replied, then we'll teach them, 1 bullet at a time. The Zorith came for an easy win, a quick conquest. But they found something else. They found people who had lived through wars before, who remembered bombs, hunger, and fear, and who had learned to fight back. They found survivors. They found warriors. Earth was bleeding, but Earth was fighting, and the war had just begun. The Zurith thought humans would break after the first wave. They were wrong. Every day, the fight grew stronger. The more the aliens pushed, the more the humans pushed back. Something had changed. In New York, the tall buildings cast long shadows. Inside those shadows, humans moved like ghosts. The Zorith sent patrols, but many did not return. Small groups of humans attacked from alleys, rooftops, and tunnels. They hit fast and vanished. The aliens were trained for open battles, but this was something else. This was survival. In Kansas, Nora Simmons kept listening to the alien signals. She sat in a small room filled with wires and old equipment. She used her father's ham radio and her laptop. Each day, she learned more. She picked up alien words and started sending messages to fighters across the country. Enemy ship moving west, 2 hours away. Use mirrors to blind their drones. Watch the skies. They come at dawn. Her words were short but powerful. Fighters in cities, forests, and deserts followed her messages. They called her the Ghost Voice. No one knew her face, but everyone trusted her. In Los Angeles, Sergeant Pete Morales led his group through the empty streets. They had taken back several blocks. Each day, more people joined. Some had never fired a gun before. Others were old soldiers. Pete trained them all. He taught them how to move, how to watch, how to strike. He said, we fight together. We move together. If we stay alone, we fall, but together, we win. One day, they ambushed a Zorith unit near an old stadium. The aliens had stronger weapons. But Pete's team used the tunnels under the ground. They came up behind the aliens and attacked. The battle was short. The aliens ran. After the fight, Pete looked at the broken stadium seats. He said, "This place used to be for games. Now, it's a battlefield." In Brazil, Daniel Cruz was once a science teacher. Now, he was something else. He had found pieces of alien machines. He studied them, took them apart, and built new tools. He made bombs that could stop alien drones. He shared his designs online. From Argentina to Mexico, people followed his plans. They built weapons from scrap and broken parts. Daniel became known as the Maker. He never asked for fame. He just wanted Earth to fight back. In Africa, people from different villages joined together. In Kenya, small farms became training camps. In Nigeria, young men and women learned how to use alien weapons. In South Africa, old soldiers taught the young ones how to survive. They came from different places, spoke different languages, but they had the same goal: to protect Earth. In Russia, people hid in frozen forests. In India, people blocked roads with trucks and stones. In Australia, hunters used the wild to their advantage. The aliens had maps, but they didn't understand the land. They didn't understand the people. Zelva Ruin watched the reports with cold eyes. He had sent more troops, more ships, more machines. But Earth was not falling. He said, "They should be weak. Why are they so strong?" His second-in-command said, "They are not one army. They are many, but they fight like one." Zelvaruan said, "Then we must divide them, break their spirit, crush their hope." He ordered heavy attacks on cities. Bombs fell on schools, hospitals, and homes. He thought fear would stop them, but he did not understand. Fear made the humans fight harder. In London, buildings burned, but under the ground, people built a base. Lieutenant Grace Howard led a group of fighters from the old subway tunnels. She kept food hidden, set traps, and led silent attacks on alien patrols. Each night, she marked a map with red lines. "These are the streets we take next," she said. "Bit by bit, we take our city back." In a small village in Italy, a baker named Carlo used his delivery van to move weapons. He drove past alien checkpoints with a smile and a loaf of bread. Hidden under the bread were grenades and maps. In Canada, a group of teenagers used snowmobiles to scout alien camps. They took pictures and sent them to Nora, the ghost voice. She added the data to her network. In the middle of all the chaos, something new began to happen. People shared food, weapons, and knowledge. They crossed borders without care. They helped each other like never before. A woman in Egypt sent blueprints to fighters in France. A boy in Texas translated alien signals and sent them to fighters in Japan. A soldier in South Korea taught others how to disable alien robots. The world was becoming one team. On a hill in Colorado, Captain Laura Briggs met with leaders from other regions. Eric Dalton was there, strong and calm. Pete Morales arrived with two of his best fighters. Grace Howard spoke through a radio, hidden underground. They shared plans, maps, and stories. They spoke of losses, but also of victories. Eric said, "We don't have much, but we have each other. And that's enough." Laura nodded. "We've been divided for years, but now we stand together. We are stronger than ever." The aliens attacked harder. They sent stronger units, bigger ships, more machines. But it was too late. The humans had learned, they had changed. They no longer waited for help. They became the help. They became the fighters, the leaders, the heroes. In a field in China, a grandmother taught children how to hide from drones. In a tunnel in Mexico, a father showed his son how to set a trap. In a forest in Poland, a young woman ran messages from camp to camp. These were not soldiers, but they became warriors. In the night, across the world, fire lit the sky. Not from fear, from resistance. Every light was a sign, a message. We are still here. We are still fighting. The aliens thought they came to conquer, but they woke something old and powerful. They woke the spirit of Earth, and Earth was ready to fight until the end. The sky was no longer blue in many places. It was grey with smoke, full of noise from explosions and falling ships. The war had changed. It was not just small groups fighting now. It had become something bigger. It had become a fire that spread across the whole planet. The Zorith sent more soldiers. These were stronger, faster, and better trained. They dropped from the sky in large metal pods and hit the ground hard. They carried new weapons. They moved like machines. They were called enforcers, but humans did not run. In London, Lieutenant Grace Howard led her team through the broken city. They wore masks to breathe. The air was thick with dust. They had found a way to bring down the enforcers. She and a young engineer named Lewis had built an electric trap using wires from an old train station. They waited in silence, hidden behind broken walls. When the enforcers came, they walked right into the trap. A burst of power shot through the wires. The aliens dropped, their suits shaking. Grace gave the signal. Her team rushed forward. They finished the job fast. In Brazil, Daniel Cruz kept working on new ideas. He had found a piece of alien armor. It was strong, but he found weak spots. He shared the information with fighters. In other countries, hit the side of the neck, his message said. Their energy flows there. People listened. More enforcers fell. In Alaska, hunters used the snow and ice to fight. They wore white clothes and hid under the snow. They used homemade rockets to attack alien ships during storms. The aliens could not see them. They called these humans white ghosts. Nora Simmons, the ghost voice, worked day and night. Her messages now reached every continent. She had help. A group of young people joined her. They set up antennas on tall buildings and mountains. They called their team the Signal Net. Nora smiled when she saw her team working. We are the voice of Earth, she said, and they can't stop us. Zelva Ruin grew angry. His ships were being attacked. His patrols were vanishing. His best enforcers were losing. He spoke to his council. They fight like animals. No order, no control. One Zorith general replied, they learn to fast. They adapt. Every time we change, they change faster. Zelvaruin gave a new order. Destroy their cities. Burn their history. Crush their will. Giant ships appeared above major cities. They fired beams that cut through buildings. They turned parks into ash. Monuments fell. Fires spread, but humans still did not stop. In Paris, people ran into the fire to save books. In Cairo, fighters protected a museum full of old statues. In Beijing, students painted history on walls before the bombs came. They would not let their past be erased. In Denver, Eric Dalton led a mission to take down a landing ship. He had only 10 fighters. They carried heavy weapons, most made from broken alien tech. They waited until the ship opened its ramp. Then they attacked. The fight was hard. 2 of his men were lost, but the ship fell. It exploded in the air, lighting up the night. Eric looked at the sky. "We are still here," he said. Captain Laura Briggs was in Africa. She had joined with fighters from many countries. Her group had people from Kenya, Egypt, Nigeria, and more. They called themselves Earthshield. They moved like a wave, striking alien camps one by one. Laura stood before her team. "We are one now. No more borders, no more old fights. This is our world. We protect it together." The group cheered. They moved out and took another camp the next day. In the Pacific Island nations joined forces. They used boats, small planes, and even surfboards to move between islands. They hid weapons in caves and struck from the sea. The aliens could not track them. A boy named Mateo, only 15, led a group of swimmers to place bombs under a Zorith water base. It exploded from below. His name spread like fire. In South Korea, engineers found a way to hack alien drones. They turned the drones against their masters. The sky over Seoul filled with machines fighting each other. The hacked drones won everywhere. The fight changed. It became smarter. More people joined. Farmers, teachers, children, grandparents. No one was left out. Everyone did something. In Canada, a woman named Lynn built shelters in old train tunnels. She turned them into hospitals. She saved lives. In Spain, a doctor named Raphael trained young people to care for the wounded. In India, a named Rod showed his class how to spot alien ships and warn others. This was not just war. This was survival. This was unity. XEL, Verowin saw the planet burning, but not falling. He saw people dying, but still fighting. They were not soldiers. They were destroyers. They left nothing behind. The first Reaper ships arrived near the Atlantic Ocean. They were black and silent. Their weapons could melt steel in seconds. They began to move toward major cities, but humans had seen worse. Captain Briggs and Eric Dalton met again, this time in an old airport. They had maps, radios, and brave people. They made a plan. "We stopped them at the coast," Laura said. "We do not let them touch our cities." Eric nodded. "We use everything. Every trick, every trap." The battle at the coast was huge, the biggest so far. Humans used planes, ships, and even fishing boats. They carried weapons made from alien parts. They had mines in the water, missiles in hidden trucks, snipers in tall buildings. The Reapers fired first. The sea-boiled ships sank, but humans did not stop. One fighter plane, almost out of fuel, flew straight into a Reaper ship. It exploded in the sky. More planes followed. More Reapers fell. People on the ground cheered. They had done the impossible. Zelvaruin watched in silence, his eyes dark, his hands shaking. "They should be gone," he whispered, his second in command. Said, "They will never stop. Not until we leave." The Zorith had never known a world like this. A world that would burn itself to stop an enemy. A world where everyone fights, not because they are told to, but because they choose to. In the forests, in the mountains, in the cities and seas. Earth fought on. Nora sent one more message that night. It was short. "We are still alive. We are still strong. Earth stands." The days were darker now. The sky was always filled with smoke. Fires burned in cities and forests. But the humans did not give up. Even in the worst places, they still fought. In South America, the signal net had grown. Nora Simmons now had a Full team. They worked from an old tower in the mountains. The view stretched for miles. Her team sent signals all day and all night. They warned towns before attacks. They helped fighters move in secret. One boy named Elias had joined her team. He was only 12, but he was fast with the computer. He found patterns in the alien movements. Nora trusted his eyes. One night, Elias ran to her and said, "They will strike the valley tomorrow. We must warn them now." Nora sent the message. Fighters in the valley moved out before the attack came. The aliens found nothing but empty streets. In the United States, Eric Dalton had started training new leaders. He had seen too many good people fall. He knew they needed more strong voices. One of his best students was Maya Brooks. She had once been a nurse. Now she was a commander. Maya led her group through the forests of Oregon. She knew the land. She knew how to move without being seen. She made traps from trees and old wires. Her group hit a supply ship one night and took everything: food, weapons. Medicine, Maya told her group. We don't fight for glory. We fight for each other. In Asia, Captain Laura Briggs had joined forces with local fighters. She was deep in the mountains of Nepal. The air was thin, but her heart was strong. She helped set up camps in caves. The cold kept the aliens away. One night, she sat by the fire with a local leader named Rin. He was old but wise. He said, "Your people came here to help. Now we fight side by side. This is how we win." Laura nodded. One planet, one fight. In Europe, Grace Howard was planning something big. She had found a weak spot in the alien systems. If they could get inside one of the big command ships, they could send a false signal. They could make the aliens think Earth was full of poison. Grace only had one chance. Her team built a small rocket from scrap and alien parts. They painted it black. At night, they launched it from a hidden base. The rocket flew straight to the command ship. It broke inside. Grace's signal went out. For 5 hours, the alien systems thought Earth's air was toxic. Many ships pulled back. Others froze in place. It gave the humans time to strike. Cities that had fallen were taken back. The people cheered. In Australia, people rode dirt bikes across the desert. They carried bombs and food. They jumped over dunes and sped through dust. The aliens couldn't catch them. They called themselves the Sand Riders. One of them, a man named Toby, led a raid on a fuel ship. He used mirrors and smoke to confuse the alien scanners. They never saw him coming. The ship exploded in fire. Daniel Cruz, the maker, had moved to a secret lab in the jungle. He was working on something new. He had found a way to mix alien metal with human steel. The result was light and strong, perfect for armor. He made vests, helmets, and even small shields. He sent his designs to the world. Fighters everywhere started wearing Daniel's armor. He said, "If we bleed, we heal. But if we protect, we survive." In Egypt, old ruins became bases. Fighters used the stone walls to hide from scans. One leader, Kareem, used his knowledge of history to lead surprise attacks. He knew the desert better than any map. Kareem once told his group, "We are the sons and daughters of pharaohs. We bow to no one." In Canada, winter had come. The snow was thick. The cold was sharp. But the people used it well. They dug tunnels in the snow. They moved like shadows. Lynn, the woman who had built train shelters, now led a supply group. She brought food and blankets to those hiding in the woods. Her van had spikes on the tires and metal on the sides. She told her friends, "Warm hearts will win this Cold War." In China, a team of young coders had broken into another alien system. They found a map of where the aliens would land next. They shared it with the world. The humans set traps in those places. Many aliens never made it out in the oceans. Submarines built by old navies came back to life. Crews of all ages joined. They moved under the sea, hitting alien ships from below. The aliens had never seen a war like this. Zelvaruan was not calm anymore. He shouted in anger. They were nothing. Weak, scattered, alone. His second-in-command said, "They were, once. But they are not the same now. They are more, Zel." Varuan sent one final order. Send the Black Flame. The Black Flame was a terrible weapon. It was made to erase all life in a wide area. It burned everything. It had only been used once before on a dead moon. The Zorith planned to use it on Earth. The humans heard about it. A spy had sent a warning. Nora Simmons received the message. She told Captain Briggs. The signal spread fast. "We have one chance," Laura said. "We stop it in space." Eric Dalton called every pilot, every engineer, every person who could help. Daniel Cruz sent a design for a space launcher. It needed parts from all over the world. People built it in a desert, working day and night. They called it the Hammer. Grace Howard and her team hacked the alien codes. They found the path of the Black Flame ship. Maya Brooks trained new pilots. She picked 10 of the best. They called themselves the Sky Shield. On launch day, people watched. From the ground, the Hammer fired. 10 fighters flew into space. They met the Black Flame ship near the edge of Earth's sky. The fight was fast and brutal. One by one, the Sky Shield pilots took down the guards. But the Black Flame ship was still moving. Maya Brooks saw the weapon begin to charge. She made a choice. She flew her ship straight into the core. The explosion was bright like a new sun. The Black Flame never touched Earth. People cried. People cheered. Maya's name was spoken across the world. Eric Dalton looked at the sky and said, "She gave everything for us all." The aliens saw now. Earth was not weak. Earth was not broken. Earth was ready, and Earth was winning. The sun rose slowly over the Earth. For the first time in many weeks, there was silence in the sky. No bombs, no screams. Only the soft wind and the quiet sound of people breathing, living, and remembering. The Zorith ships were gone. The last of them had left orbit 2 days ago. Their leader, Zelvaruan, had finally given the order. He had watched too many of his warriors fall. He had seen his strongest weapons fail. The Black Flame had been destroyed. He had lost the war now. Earth was left to heal. Captain Laura Briggs stood at the top of a hill in southern France. She could see the burned remains of what was once a town. But below, people were working. They were clearing debris, building shelters, and planting food. She smiled. This was what victory looked like. She had lost many friends, but she was still here, still leading. Eric Dalton had returned to the United States. He was in a small town in the mountains, helping to rebuild homes. He worked with his hands, using tools instead of weapons. Children followed him, asking for stories. He told them about Maya Brooks, the pilot who gave her life to stop the Black Flame. She was brave, Eric said. She didn't run. She flew into the fire to save us. The children nodded, their eyes wide. One girl said, "I want to be brave like her." "You already are," Eric replied. Nora Simmons still sent messages, but they were different now. They were messages of hope. She spoke about rebuilding, about remembering the lost, and about unity. This war showed us who we are, she said. One morning, we are not just nations. We are not just people with different flags. We are one. We are Earth. In the jungles of South America, Daniel Cruz opened a new workshop. He trained young builders, showing them how to create things, from both human and alien tech. They were no longer making weapons. Now they made power systems, clean water machines, and shelters. We fought hard, Daniel told his students. But now we build harder. In Africa, Captain Briggs met with leaders from many countries. They talked about forming a council, not to rule, but to guide. They wanted to share ideas, knowledge, and hope. They called it the Earth Circle. One leader, an older woman from Ghana, said, "The aliens thought war would break us. Instead, it made us strong. We cannot forget this lesson." In Japan, people made gardens where bombs once fell. In India, temples rang their bells again. In Germany, music returned to the streets. Around the world, people sang songs of peace, but the war had left scars. Some cities were gone, some rivers were poisoned, some lands would take years to clean, and some hearts still held fear. Lynn, who had helped so many in the cold of Canada, now worked with doctors. She helped people who had lost family. She listened. She gave comfort. "It's okay to cry," she said. "But remember why they fought. They fought so we could live." Grace Howard led a team to explore fallen alien ships. She and Lewis, her young engineer friend, found many strange things. They made notes. They tried to learn. One day, Lewis asked, "Do you think they'll ever come back?" Grace looked up at the sky. "Maybe, but we'll be ready." In the oceans, the submarines came back to port. Sailors hugged their families. Some had been under the sea for months. They brought stories of battles no one saw, and victories that saved cities from being hit. In a village in the Pacific Islands, Mateo, the boy who had destroyed the water base, was helping rebuild schools. He painted walls with his friends. His smile had returned. The signal net became something new. No longer just a tool for war, it became a network of connection. People used it to teach, to share news, and to stay close. Nora said, "The voice of Earth must always be heard." A year after the last battle, the Earth Circle held a global meeting. It was broadcast everywhere. Captain Briggs, Eric Dalton, Nora Simmons, Daniel Cruz, Grace Howard, and many others stood together. Laura spoke first. "We were attacked. We were almost broken, but we stood, we fought, we lived, and now we rise." Eric added, "We learned we are stronger together. That is our greatest weapon." Nora said, "And our voice will never be silent again." They promised to keep Earth ready, but not with fear, with unity, learning, and strength. New schools were built, teaching the history of the war. Not just the pain, but the courage. Children learned about the Sky Shield, about the Sand Riders, about the signal net, and about people who did not fight with weapons, but with kindness. In the mountains of Nepal, Rin lit a small fire and sat. Beside it, he smiled and said, "The world has changed, but its heart is still strong." In Egypt, Kareem led tours through the ruins that had become shelters. He taught people about the old and the new. He told them, even in war, beauty survives. One day, a strange signal came from space. It was weak, not a threat, just a message. It said, "We were wrong. You are not what we thought. We will not return." The message came from the edge of the galaxy. People listened, and then they turned off the signal. Eric looked at the sky again and said, "They finally learned. We are not weak. We are human." In every corner of Earth, people lived, laughed, and remembered. Statues were built, not of soldiers alone, but of children holding hands, of farmers planting seeds, of teachers reading books. The world was not perfect, but it was alive, and that was enough, because when the aliens attacked, they learned too. Late humans are born for war, but they also learned something greater. Humans are born for hope.